afternoon, and welcome to Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth Show, where we are returning youth and young adults back to a productive life after incarceration. Please visit returningyouth.com and donate today. That's returningyouth.com. We are live on the radio to over 30 million homes on WPAT 930 AM every Friday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're streaming live on Facebook at facebook.com/returningyouth, as well as YouTube. Just search Returning Youth on your YouTube browser. Dr. Khanna is an attorney, a child safety advocate, a servant of the underserved, and a champion of the nonprofit Voice of Kids. Dr. Khanna launched his post-incarceration Juvenile Justice Reformation Act initiative, also known as the Returning Youth Initiative. Dr. Khanna saw that the Reformation Act did not adequately care for ex-offenders once they were released from prison, and he decided to do something about that. He provided the housing and training along with the required medical and psychological assistance needed to secure a job, build their careers, and greatly improve their lives. I'm your host, Angelica Robinson. Please welcome my team member, Ryan Fagan. Thank you, Ryan, for being here. Hi.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's good to be back with you.
Yes. Ryan, I mean, we've got a pretty awesome day planned today. We actually have a special guest, Kevin from the Kevin Allen Show. Will be here a little bit later on today. But before we get into our very, very special guest, wanted to see if there were any kind of updates that are going on in our world of returning youth and what Dr. Khanna has planned and what's coming up next. Do we have any updates, Ryan?
Well, right now it's exciting. We're doing a little fun venture right now. We've got a returning youth awareness tour going on right now. Some of our team members are en route. They're driving from Miami, West Palm Beach, I believe, back to Montana. So they're stopping along the way as they're going to meet and greet folks and just kind of getting the word out about our initiative, driving across the country. So they've been doing that for a few days now, and it's been very well received in places that they've stopped. They were making a trip, and we decided, hey, let's make sure that we let people know about what's going on. And so been positively received. Folks are greeting them, asking questions. We're finding out, meeting a lot of people along the way, which has been really exciting for us. And then, we've got a lot of other things, just trying to get trying to get the word out, trying to raise awareness of the struggles that post-incarcerated folks are facing in our society, trying to, and focus on reducing the recidivism rates of these young people. I was privileged to take part the last couple of days in festivities out in Newark, New Jersey. So Newark that is having their, I believe, the 10th annual 24 hours of peace. Tomorrow, starting tonight into tomorrow. We've been out there. Folks from Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth Initiative been out there participating in. There was a health and wellness fair on Tuesday, on Wednesday, I guess, that unfortunately got disrupted by the hurricane that came through, the storms. But we were also there yesterday for a resource.
Wait, was the health and awareness fair? Was that live and in person? And then
yes. Yes, these events are live and in person. They've been, while the health and wellness fair we were trying to attend. Unfortunately, that was an outdoor event in a city park, and with the storm coming in, they had to call that off. But we were also involved with a citywide resource fair put on by the city, and some other folks. Met some great people there. Let them to bring awareness again of the problems that are facing, not only in Newark, for the folks there, but also across the country, and just met some great people. And so anybody that's in our area that hears about it, come if you're in the Newark area, check out, go to the 24 hours of peace tonight, tomorrow, this week. Look for us. We'll have our representatives out there. We can, you can find out more information, meet with them, and meet all the other folks that are out there as well. But it's been very exciting. We meeting a lot of new people trying to work on bringing our initiative to their communities, and how we can, seeking out volunteers, people that are like-minded, and partnering up with folks to help bring the much needed services to these communities.
So wait, okay, Ryan, you just said a whole mouthful there.
I tend to do that. I get carried away. So just cut me off. Tell me to stop.
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. And so but I'm actually really concerned about the live event that happened at the Health and Wellness Fair, with the hurricane. How were we able to pivot to keep people safe, or what happened?
Well, that was actually there was, I'm not sure, because by the time we got there later in the day. So by the time we did, the storm had started rolling in. So I was not part of that. By the time we had done, they had cleared everybody out, because the storm was coming in, and the voluminous rain and the flooding. And then, so, we were taking precautions for that. And then the next day events, that were there were somewhat subdued, because of people, a lot of folks were still out there helping to take care of the storm damage, the flooding, and people, trying to work on getting their power restored. But these are outdoor events that they've been having principally, so that you can maintain that social distance. You can, everyone was wearing masks, doing obviously doing the safe approach. But it was great to understand that first and foremost, the safety of individuals is the most important thing. And then once we establish that, then we can work on getting the word out to folks about what we can do going forward. We'll do everything in a safe manner.
That actually just the safe manner and safety precautions that you just mentioned, it actually makes me think about our community centers, the community centers that are already up and running. What type of safety precautions are within our community centers, or what can, if anyone is listening in and they are looking to be a part of the program, what can they anticipate in terms of safety and safety precautions?
Well, typically what we partner, we're relying on the assistance of the local authorities, and because every community has different rates of exposure and contagion, and so we're working with the local folks, but we're obviously making sure that when folks are in our facilities, that they are wearing the masks, that they are being safe. We're making sure that things are cleaned in a proper, in a enhanced fashion to prevent the spread. We don't want to create any additional problems for folks. But we're working, our individual teams are working very closely with the local folks to make sure that we're doing above and beyond what the local authorities, local folks are recommending, both from both from the elected officials and the medical professionals. So so when you go in, it's those that are attending are typically, and again, not everybody's doing the same, has the same restrictions, limitations, but we encourage folks, even if you're fully vaccinated and you're in an area that is fortunate and doesn't have high rates, that we still encourage folks wear a mask, maintain that, keep practice proper hygiene and those type of things, just to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe. We want to make sure, because as we all know, the hospitals in most places are overburdened, and we don't need to create any additional problems for that. And we're very grateful for the medical personnel and everyone that's once again having to endure this public crisis. So hopefully this is the last of this.
It's very global.
Yes, and hopefully we're getting to the point where people are getting the message, and the vaccinations are working. We get the boosters that are being recommended now. We get those going, and hopefully that'll help curb the tide of this, so we can get back to in-person events, and obviously I think we've changed forever. I think we've changed a little bit on how we're going to do things going forward. At least I hope. So we're all a little more cautious of these things anyway.
I
But
kind of love this hybrid world where we're able to be in multiple cities at once.
mhm.
I definitely love in person. I'm great.
Yeah.
I like being one-on-one with people. And so being face to face with them is really important to me. But like the virtual world, the way that you can actually be face to face to talk to someone and be in two completely separate states. The fact that we're able to run this program and I'm in Los Angeles every single time we're airing it is also like a blessing. And so I think that the hybrid world of being able to do both in-person events as well as being virtual can be beneficial for all
It,
parties.
I agree. It's been very, it's as we've transitioned back and forth, and we've been doing more scheduled in-person events, it has been a little bit awkward again, because for myself, and I'm sure for others as well, because you want to have that interaction when you're with someone. You want to get back, okay, because I'm a person, I want to shake hands or a fist bump or give a hug or whatever to folks that you're close with. And you have to make sure that all parties are comfortable with whatever that is and what everybody's status is you want to, and that's, so it does limit it a little bit. So but it is nice that we can, that you and I can engage in this forum, from wherever we may be, and we can make this happen. And I'm glad that technology is been advanced to allow that. So
Yeah.
it's so
It's actually kind of crazy how people will actually ask for consent to give a hug nowadays, which is
yes.
wonderful because that's actually something that should have been happening prior. But
Right.
I'm a total hugger, but I do stop to say, "Are you comfortable?" Because some people actually do have a lot of, and especially with these stories that we hear from so many of our post-incarcerated families and folks that have been on the show, and just simply being touched or being hugged
Mhm.
or having to sleep
Yeah.
certain ways and those types of mental blocks that they do need help to get over those kinds of, or to get through those types of issues. um People now being able to be cognizant of just stopping and asking for consent for like a hug is really mindful, especially for those who are in the post incarcerated community, because a lot of folks have issues with being physically touched, and so with being hugged. And so it's really it's kind of a good thing that we kind of had to stop to pause to not be close so that we can actually really appreciate being within, being close again and being able to person with one another again.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I think it's brought to light a lot of issues, a lot of not, as you talked about, the consent is just the consent to be hugged, the consent for physical touch that many of us just don't think about, but it does have an impact for some folks, and a lot of folks, for people that have been victims of trauma or abuse. Those things certainly are things that this is bringing us, making us more mindful of.
Yeah.
And as a society, we can protect those folks and help them to deal with that and not force them to constantly be, you know, being, touched or hugged when they're not comfortable with that. And that's something I think is something that is definitely, I try to look for the silver lining in everything.
Right.
And if you could look at a global pandemic and say, here's the silver lining for a
There's a
global
silver lining.
pandemic, is that we have become more, I think you're right. We appreciate that closeness, that contact that we can have with folks, but it also brings us in, it makes us realize that sometimes there are limits to what every person has the right to set their limits to what they're comfortable with for a variety of reasons, or any reason, or no reason at all. And that's the thing, is we want to, just, we don't need to have somebody say, prove why can't I hug you? Well, because I don't, I'm not comfortable with that for whatever reason. And that's something that definitely is
I don't, someone should have to say, because I was assaulted 5 times.
Right,
Right.
Right. We don't need to have that. It's like, it's just, I'm not, I'm not comfortable with it. Great. Okay. Understand. And how can I help to, whatever, I want to show you, but what are you comfortable with? And I think that is definitely something that we've done. But you bring up a good point, because a lot of folks with, and the opposite, unfortunately, is true as well, where we have folks that part of their trauma is that they've not received that physical affection from parents or families or whatever as they've grown. So that's been a struggle for them, and that's another area that's I think is we're really starting to focus on. For the first several months of the pandemic, we all focused on, okay, physical protection, masking, social distancing, cleaning, everything like that. And then we started realizing now, after months of that, and I think a lot of the pushback we're getting now is not on that. It's on the psychological impact that has, that lack of connection. And you see it. I've talked to teachers and school teachers, and understand, they appreciate, they want their students to be safe. They want to be able to be with them, but they want to do it safely.
Yeah.
Some of the interactions that, especially for the younger students, they need to be able to see your lips. They need to be able to see your smile. They need to see how you pronounce words and how you say these things. And those things have been, somewhat limited in at least they were initially. So children were struggling with that. They're not seeing that. So we're taking those mental health aspects into effect. That's another hopefully benefit we can carry forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. Well, that was a random tangent. I love how that just meant so, like, that was so not what I was gonna talk about, but it was such a lovely little interlude there.
Well, we were talking before the show about, we can be flexible, we can do whatever we can, and that's good. We have to be, and we have to do that. So
yeah, that is definitely important to have that flexibility. I mean, that's exactly what we are dealing with when it comes to being in this world and dealing with the various variants that are plaguing our society, plaguing the country, plaguing the world right now, and how we're able to kind of adjust and respond and then readjust with everything that is happening. And so, and that's kind of how I got onto, like, with our facilities, and how we're able to then incorporate new protocols, or how we're able to incorporate new systems so that we can keep individuals safe, those that are in the community members, those that are working within the facilities that are available. Speaking of, how is Oklahoma? I mean, do we have an update on what's going on at the Vision Center and at the
you mean in Montana?
Montana.
It's Montana.
Yes,
I was like, what am I saying in Oklahoma? So, but
Montana.
Montana. Well, Montana, that is the they're doing well. They got community, as we talked about before, the community is really embraced Susan and our initiative, and what she's doing, what we're doing, and what most importantly what she's being allowed, what she's being enabled to do. She's been empowered to do. It's thriving, it's growing. People are getting more aware, and and that's allowing us to that's allowing us to advance the other causes. She's got her business going, that allows her to be able to bring in post-incarcerated folks to work with her, to kind of observe how to operate the business. It's great. And in fact, some of the folks from there are the ones behind that initiated and kind of got the ball rolling on our with the returning youth awareness tour that I spoke about briefly earlier. They had an item that was being shipped to them, and they needed to go get it because it was going to take them too long and be just cost prohibitive to get it shipped to them for the Vision Center. So they were able to go down and secure that, and as they're driving it back, bringing it back to Montana, taking the opportunity to drive through. I'm not sure, how many states that they can go through any number of several states, but I know there were 8, 9, 10 states they were going to make stops in, and most recently they were, I got the report that I think they were in Tennessee. They were going on their way back. So hopefully they're, weren't impacted by any of the weather that some of us did. But no, the folks up in Montana are continuing to do great work. It continues to thrive, and we're looking at what Susan's doing there and what she's been empowered to do. We're looking to open that in other locations as well. Specifically in Las Vegas, in the Houston area, we're looking at doing a similar model to that, with folks in those areas, so we can bring those businesses, those opportunities, along with the safe haven community centers and Dr. Khanna's initiative in general, bring those to those communities as well. And we're looking at other types of things, but it's exciting to see it grow.
Do we know what state Dr. Khanna is in right now, and what developments would be I know we've been actively working on getting all 50 states and the territories here within the U.S., getting each county represented, having a safe haven, and hopefully some businesses within every single county. And so I think the last time I checked in with Dr. Khanna, we were at about 14 states. Is that still accurate?
I'm not sure where we are. I know he's been talking to folks in some other states. He's been out talking with folks in Wyoming and Idaho recently, and developing some things there. We're trying to bring in some additional states as well. So I'm not sure the exact status of all of those, but I know that he'd been out in the last week out in that area, Wyoming and Idaho. And was trying to get back to the East Coast. He wanted to be in Newark for the event tonight and tomorrow, but unfortunately because of the storm and because of other things, he was having difficulty getting back. But he's out. He'll call me in the mornings and I have no idea. He'll be someplace. I'm like, you were in a different state last night. And so I think I keep telling him, I think he's cloned himself, because he's got, the man is everywhere. He's doing everything. He's going all sorts of places, meeting people, and just, I don't know how he has the energy to do the things that he's doing. I try to keep up with him, and it's just, I'm not that young man anymore.
How are we finding our new county managers in the various states? Because I know you're traveling and Dr. Khanna is traveling, and there are other team members that are working diligently behind the scenes to go to these different states, to go to these various counties, to work with legislators, to get this program funded in major ways. And so what are some of the qualifications and skills that we need within our county managers?
Well, sure. What we do typically, when we identify a county that we're going to be opening up, we'd see because as you said, every county in the country has this need, and we want to have a presence in every county. Realistically, we're focusing right now on places that are higher, have where the need is greater. And so what we do with that is we will go in to meet with the mayor, the Chamber of Commerce, church and religious leaders, folks in those, because and identify with them what their local needs are. How can we best serve that community? And that typically leads us to either an organization that's doing things in the community that we can partner up with to make their efforts greater and expand what we're doing, or we find individuals who are like-minded, that are have that entrepreneurial mindset, that want to help, they've been looking for a way. So we will hold a town hall meeting with politicians, state legislators, whatever, to get the word out have introductions with folks, and just networking as you would with anything else. But we start off realizing that while Dr. Khanna has a great vision of what we want to do, the implementation of that does rely on the needs of that individual community. And we want to go into the community. I don't want to come in from, where we are and drop, up a plan, because what's going to work in Los Angeles isn't necessarily going to work in Boise, Idaho. The needs of those communities are going to be different. And what the resources available are going to be different. So, we work very closely with these local folks to make this happen. And that's the wonderful thing about what the model that Dr. Khanna has put together, and what we're working with, is that it's a national structure that can be individualized. So not only can we take it to that county, what's the state need, what's that county need, but also what does that individual member, that individual participant, what does he or she what do they need? And that is, we can look and say, this person, we can help them. We have the nationwide resources. We can do this, but we tailor the program. We tailor the what's their help to that person. And, it works it works at every level that way. We can, whatever the county needs, we can facilitate. We work with them to do that. And then so that they can provide the services to the individuals on a personal level.
Okay. So with all of that you just said, understanding that the needs of each county are completely that they completely vary between county and county, state to state, and understanding that those are very different, but also understanding that the job of the county manager is the same job, but the needs of the counties are different, right? And so what are some of the things that county managers should be prepared to do or ready to do when they decide to commit to being a county manager?
One of the principal things that you do with any sort of a not-for-profit organization is fundraising is an important thing. You have to be willing to meet with folks and identify, and ask for help, ask for volunteers, be willing to, and so that's the the first and foremost is that not everybody's comfortable with that aspect of it. So but we want to, and that's why we're here to help with that as well. But you have to have that ability to recognize that we can't do it ourselves. We do need that the money, money makes the world go round. It's vulgar to have to say that all the time, but that's the reality. But they have to have organizational skills. They have to have people skills, definitely. But but they also, the most important thing I think for them is to be able to surround themselves with quality people. And be able to delegate to those folks as needed, because no, Dr. Khanna is the exception, but no person can do it all. And again, I don't want to put him on the too high a pedestal, but what things he's working on is are amazing. But you have to be able to, the organization meeting. You're going to be meeting with, interacting with political leaders, business leaders, community activists, community leaders, and just letting them know what we offer, listening to their needs, listening to what they're offering, and do it in a non-confrontational manner, which is, I'm not saying that's that, but sometimes you come into an area as an outside, you're viewed as an outsider, and you want to come in and say, we're not here in competition with anybody else that's doing doing these good things. What we want to do is work with them and facilitate, and help them take what they're doing, magnify it, add what we're, layer that with what we're doing, incorporate all these things so that we can work together. If it's something that, we want to collaborate, we want to get to know folks. And that's the thing, is you have to be willing to meet people, shake hands, help, I can help, help them develop that 3-minute elevator speech or whatever, so that we can get in front of people and just say, this is what we are, this is who we are. But organizational skills is important. They have to be able to put up with me. and tolerate working with me, because that's something I'm there to kind of guide them along as we go to get them started. And I'm not the only one that does that, but that's that's a skill. That's something that they have to be able to tolerate me. And but
You say that like you're like difficult, like you're not freaking hilarious, right?
well, it's
Like, I'm sorry, I have to just chime in and talk to the audience because Ryan is one of the most, but he is hilarious and kind and knowledgeable, like genuinely just like good-hearted, knowledgeable, and hilarious individual. And you're like, they gotta tolerate me, and I'm just like laughing in my head, like.
well, it's that's the thing, but it's I appreciate you saying those things, Angelica. But yeah, but no, it's if we can't laugh at ourselves, who can we let? We need to be able to keep ourselves humble to we can, and but it is very. I appreciate you saying those things. I don't know how well I live up to that, but it's fun. You have to be lighthearted. You can't take things too seriously, because there's a whole slew of problems out there in the world, and we need to be able to keep it in perspective. And as I said, if we can look at the silver lining of things,
comes in. That's where that good heart comes in.
If we can look at the silver lining of things, that's what it is. Because people, trust me, there are many times that I'm, I have with my close friends, and that I will sit around and whoa, and have those moments. We all have those, but but it's thankfully, with when I see the results of what we're doing, helping people, helping post-incarcerated folks start their life, start living the life that they envisioned, that they were created for. That's what gets you up in the morning. That's what keeps you going at 2:00 when you're still 2 in the morning, when you're still, waiting for Dr. Khanna to take a nap. It's
that's exactly it. Is that it's like you're saying, it's sometimes you might have a moment, but like you're still grinding and working, because that is like your true essence, your true character. And that's the same thing with our those are post-incarcerated community members that they did something within a moment, but that does not necessarily define them as a character. They are strong and can do so much more than just that one thing. That
absolutely, absolutely, and yes, and we labels stick with people, and we need to break them, help them break free of that label. There's a lot of words that people will say, a felon, an ex-con. Those words do nothing to build anybody up. They don't help, because these folks these are citizens. These are folks that have done paid the price for what they've done, and they've got a lot to offer. And just to see, and again, not everyone fits into that category. Not everyone that comes out of prison is wanting to make a change, and that's unfortunate. But when those that do, we want to help them. We want to enable them, empower them to make those change, and eventually we get hope eventually that the dream is, the plan is that everyone comes around and says, yeah, I see how that works. And as we change the way they view themselves, the way, and the way that they view their future, and the way, and then that can help society change how it views them as well. And that's the important, that's when we've really made progress, is when the community no longer looks at them as a negative. They see them as an asset, as someone that has experience, someone that has made their mistakes and has learned from their mistake, and now wants to go out and provide for their family, build a legacy, create something. And that's powerful. That's powerful. They just want to get out and be a good son, a good father, a good husband, a good whatever, whatever role that they play in society. That's what we all want to have positive impact.
There was one key word that you said a couple of moments ago about how like it's like once they like the post-incarcerated community, when they do pay their debts to society and they do get out and they want to just return to like living their life as a civilian, as a citizen. And the reality is that some of them may or may not be able to actually live the life as a citizen. That means you have freedoms and benefits and privileges, basic rights and privileges that when you go away, when you are incarcerated, depending on what you are incarcerated for, you may not ever get those rights restored, even after you have been released from prison. And so it's kind of like, how do you then live a full life? What kind of work or help or things that we can do as an organization, um, for those individuals that even after they've paid their debt to society, even after they've done all their time, their rights are not fully restored. Then it's like kind of like, well, what do I do? Why should I do right if I can't get all my rights, right? So we do have that systematic issue, and
Absolutely.
imbalance.
And absolutely. And again, that's an issue that does vary from state to state, as to how that can be accomplished. Um, and some places, for instance, one of the principal things that we hear all the time is the right to vote. Restoring to these folks the right to vote, to participate in democracy, to participate in the decision-making process under which they live. And that's something that, we work with. We're working with legislators in the states to work to clarify those, to give folks opportunities, even if it's on an individualized basis, that we allow folks to apply for that reinstatement, give them, a realistic, something other than, yeah, here's a form, fill it out and send it in and we'll throw it aside, but a realistic chance that they can have their records cleaned up, expunged, that they can have their voting rights restored, their ability to live where they choose, where they need to, the ability to function as a member of society, to raise their children in the way that they need to be a part of their children's lives. And sometimes folks don't have that ability, depending upon the state that they live in, what they were charged with, or what they pled to, or whatever. And that's an unfortunate thing. So we're working with, that's another aspect of why when we go in here, we want to identify what's the lay of the land in this particular state or county, and what steps can we take to help to truly liberate these folks that have done their time. As you said, we talk about they've paid their debt to society. Yes, they have, but society hasn't fully recognized that debt's paid. It's still showing up on their credit report in a negative fashion, that it's not, and that's something we need to work with, is to help clear that up for them, to give everyone that equal footing, that opportunity to succeed, because it's a hindrance, in so many ways. I think we've talked before, depending upon what you've pled to, what you've done, what you've been accused of, or whatever. Can you walk your kids across the street to a park? Can you be at the park with your children? Can you participate and be a scout leader, or a baseball coach, or a football coach, or a cheerleading coach, or can you be at these events?
If I can just jump in, because there's like 3 points that you just fired off, and I'm like, oh, like there's actually this is a true story of an athlete who was he was gonna go to the NFL and be get drafted and all that other good jazz. And when he was a teenager, he was accused of a crime he did not commit. He was arrested and incarcerated for about 7 years of his life. And he was put on a list because they were underage. He was put on a list, and he could not go to parks after he was proven innocent. This person was proven innocent of this crime to which he already served. He already was in jail, incarcerated for at least 7 years, right? Incarcerated for time of a crime he didn't commit. So he served time that he, for a crime he didn't commit. And then after he was released, was put on probation for an additional 3 years and could not go to a public park for a crime he did not commit. And like, so you spent for something that someone lied on you when you were a teenager, but because you're 17, you were treated like an adult, you were incarcerated, you got put into jail with a whole bunch of adults. This was made into a Hollywood movie. Mm-hmm. This is how I know about it. It's the story of Brian Banks. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. Came out like in 2019. And this person was completely innocent, but was incarcerated and had to deal with probation for several years and couldn't even go to a park. And that is absurdity. And it's like, if they're released and you know that they're innocent, then why are they still on probation? Mm-hmm. Why is the probation, the terms of their probation that they can't go to certain places? Like, all of that stuff should have been erased. The moment you find out somebody is innocent, all of that stuff should be erased. But that is very rarely the case. People are losing appeals, even though they're innocent, or they find the person that did a crime and they incarcerate the right person. You still have people who are innocent that are trying to appeal processes, which is ridiculous.
Like, yes, and oftentimes you'll see that the person that made the false accusation gets a significantly less sentence, less punishment than the person that didn't do anything in the first place.
Oh, the person in this case, they didn't go to jail at all. The person who made the false accusation. Oh no, they didn't go to jail. They didn't serve no time. They went on, lived their life, had a baby,
Mm-hmm. There's so many flaws in the system that have such negative impacts, and people are like, oh yeah, but it's one person. Yeah, but it's that one person. And that's the thing, is it's better that 100 people go free than one innocent person be sent away. And that's the way that was the foundation of our country. Our justice system that's how it was supposed to be, and we've lost that. We've lost a lot of those, and as you talked about, that's an unfortunate story that we hear, and trying to rectify those. And there's a lot of organizations that are working directly with that issue, but again, they shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to have that. That's a discussion we shouldn't have to be having. that should be a no-brainer. That if you
those are tax dollars that we have to spend. Right.
Yes.
We have to spend money to continue to incarcerate people. Right. But if we are incarcerating people who are actually innocent, then why are we spending that money? Because that's me and you's tax dollars. And that's actually another point that I wanted to. It's so funny how, and this is not like old news. This is something that was as recent as on the 2020 California ballot on if people's rights should be restored after they've been released from prison. Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing that they don't talk about is when you are released on parole, you are still technically serving your prison sentence. Mm-hmm. And so your rights are not fully restored, even though you are not still incarcerated. If you are on parole, your rights are not fully restored. And so, but you're still expected to fully participate in society. You're still expected to fully pay all of your taxes or anything else, but you don't have any types of basic rights. So you can pay taxes, but you don't get to vote on anything, which is absurd. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. And that's, again, there are, what we have done as a society in too many instances is we look at something and we throw a blanket over a problem, what we perceive as a problem, and we take in, and that negatively impacts a large number of people, instead of doing things in a more specific way. Did this, we criminalize things that that are very broad in scope, and it doesn't allow for the realities of life. We don't allow for people to have gotten getting their life back together. We don't allow for people to be rehabilitated from their previous mindset or the previous actions. We don't allow for people to be truly contrite. We continue to throw blame. We continue to throw labels, and we continue to look down on people that again, some of the things that that I probably did as a kid, if in a different time and place, I could have if you run into a police officer having a bad day, that could result in me being in there. And again, that's a thing that we have to look at society and say, is this truly the best that we can do? And the answer to that clearly is no. There's a lot of improvement. And so we want to work on that with in addition to those individuals. We want to help them get the resources that are available to them to help clear their situation. But we also need to take the broader approach of as a society changing those laws so that doesn't happen going forward.
Yeah. We've got some work to do. We've got a lot of work to do.
Well, yes, but as they say, many times we need to point out, we need to identify the problems, and we've had not that it hasn't been brought up, but now it's becoming more people being more vocal. They're being, the voices are starting to be heard more than in the past. And that's what it is, it said, when we look at these things, our initiative was born out of Dr. Khanna realizing that the existing laws we weren't being handled in the appropriate manner. There's no accountability for what's happening to people. We put overarching umbrella, laws in place with no accountability, and everyone's able to, interpret and do their own thing. Well, that doesn't give you the results. And when Dr. Khanna saw that, he said, we can do better as a society. We need to change that. We need to go in and do this. And again, he's certainly not the only one that has raised that concern. He's, and that's been going on for, before I was around. That's been going before. That's been an issue that that my parents would have experienced as well in different, but what we have now is that thankfully, in part because of social media, because of things, people becoming more aware of the injustices out there, the atrocities, to put it frankly, that many people are experiencing. And if we, by making that more front of mind for folks, and this isn't just a one-off. This isn't just a person in California that gets this mistreatment. There's people all across the country that have been falsely accused. There are people that are struggling in every community, and people are starting to see that, and it's starting to impact them, and they're starting to, and that's what we're trying to do with our initiative is letting people know, because you're like, yeah, you have these struggles. Let them know you're not alone, and there's a way out. There are resources available, and that's what's powerful with what we're trying to do is to make sure that people people can be made aware, and they when someone's struggling, they can contact us. We can help them to find the resources. Tell us your story, share your story.
www.returningyouth.com. Visit us. Keep going.
Did I set that one on the tee well enough for you there?
Please visit us at returningyouth.com, because we do want to hear your stories. We want to hear from you. We want to hear about your stories. We want to hear about your background, your experiences, the garbage you had to go through, the wonderful story you want to share. If you want to help in any kind of way. And there is no such thing as like, I don't have enough money, or I can't donate, or I don't have a teachable skill. Literally, if you have lived any part of life, you have what's called life experience, and you can be a help, you can be of service. Our community. Yes.
It's funny you say that, Angelica, because when I was in Newark yesterday, I was just standing on the street, and this young lady came up to me and she starts talking about, well, so tell me about your initiative. And I said, well, we started focusing on the peer mentorship and the mentorship. She goes, do you need mentors? And I'm like, absolutely. What? And she says, yeah, because I feel a calling that I need to go out and help folks with financial literacy and social skill development. And I'm like, how did you walked right up here, and this is exactly what we're doing. This is one of the strong aspects of what we do, and it's just amazing that she was just coming. She goes, I want an opportunity to speak in public, but this is what I want to talk about. And I'm like, you came to the right place. Here's my business card. Please, let's make this happen. Yeah. And I'm so excited about, that we're going to have a chance to talk with her further about this, because, there's people out there all over the country that have skills that, and she goes, I just want to learn how to talk to people better. Great. Talk to people better about what you're passionate about. I said, practice. And that's wonderful.
And that's the only way to be able to talk to people, is to talk to people.
Absolutely. And it was just so interesting that, because she's like, what can you provide me? As I can provide you an opportunity to talk to people. Is what you want. And you are exactly the person that I needed to hear from today. And it was perfect. It was, and those are the moments that you sit there and you say, this is meant to be. This is supposed to happen. This is, this connection is supposed to be there. And so anyone, again, not everybody can talk about financial literacy, but but what is that? Can you balance a checkbook? Can you make a budget for your home? Can you go grocery shopping within a budget, plan meals, those type of things, as you said.
That's on a super basic level. Like, financial literacy is not just about being able to do the simple basic things, like being able to balance your checkbook, being able to budget for your groceries. Yes, every single person needs to know how to do that. But then also being financially literate, you can then do so much more and prepare yourself for future endeavors and get yourself set up to build financial wealth, to build generational wealth. Why is it that, folks that have been post-incarcerated, why can't they also learn to build the generational wealth? There needs to be lessons in cryptocurrency. There needs to be lessons in investment opportunities and how to spot those investment opportunities, what good investments look like, when you should sell, when you should purchase, what those trends in the market are, understanding that on every kind of level, and providing the tools, the resources to know where to look. If you have access to a smartphone, even if it is, a government phone, you can still download apps. You can still have Cash App on your phone, and you can purchase cryptocurrency right through Cash App or with Robinhood or whatever, and teaching people how to do small investments, how understanding what the differences between IRAs and Roth IRAs and their 401ks, if they work at a job and they have the opportunity to have a 401k. Like, we want to educate people
absolutely
on every level, not just on the basic things of balancing checkbooks, and which of course is very important.
No, and that's absolutely, and that's what I said. When people come in, they say, I don't have that skill set. You have a skill set that can be that can be taught, that can be that others need, and that's, so don't any of our listeners, don't let those things hinder you, or we will find a way to help to make that work, because everyone has skills that can be that they can share.
Hey, if you can sell weed, you can sell a house.
Absolutely.
The mechanics of that, the understanding how escrow works, understanding the different types of loans that you want to be involved with, all of those types of things very much correlates to how drug distribution is in America. And so if you have an understanding of drug distribution, you actually have an understanding, a very clear understanding of property distribution and being able to purchase property on not just a residential, but commercial level.
Yes. And those skills, when people realize that, let's take, we always joke about people that have done, criminal activities. Say if we get them to turn that effort on a positive line, well, this is how we do that. Let's stop talking about it and let's do it. And let's realize that these transferable skills, they are there. And I think that's, it change the perspective, as we always say, let them say this is something you can achieve.
See, I stick with cannabis and marijuana usage simply because, I mean, we're at a point where it is legal in about 32 states. It will be federally legal within the next 5 years. Quote me on that. I'm sure of it. And so with that further distribution, like if you really do understand at least that market and that business, you can be structurally sound to be able to also invest in real estate and in property management and all of those details. And if you can do that, that correlates to so many other businesses, film production included. Being able to sell a film is very similar to being able to sell a house. And that property real estate or the state in which you're purchasing in is simply your distribution channel, your whatever streaming platform you decide to put that product on, so understanding those basic correlations. So it's like you can relate that to anything. And I mean, I'm not condoning any other kind of like drug trafficking or drug distributions or anything like that, but in a case like cannabis that is legal in 32 different states and is on its way to federal legalization, then that is a conversation to be had.
That's an opportunity, business opportunity, and as you said, that structure, that entrepreneurial mindset of creating that, developing that market, developing what your production and understanding how those things work. Those are skills that you have. That folks have. Let's make that happen. Transfer those.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Ryan, for being on the show with me today. We are at our time. I am grateful for you as always. Those of you who are listening, please go to returningyouth.com and you can check us out every single Friday right here on WPAT 930 AM from 3 to 4 Eastern time. And we will be back here next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.